What happens when you're short on time and need a job strategy and your French resume just took with that French resume? You took some time off, but now you realize that taking that time off costs you more than anything. Could cost you that internship and apprenticeship that needs to be secured now. Does that sound familiar to you? Hi there, Tanya here. Welcome to today's live. I'm really happy to be here to share this with you today. Now, if you're talented, and of course you are, and a new professional with international experience, you maybe speak a couple of languages, and you've worked across culture. But when you apply for jobs, it's like your application falls into a rabbit hole. Nothing, darkness, radio silence. Meanwhile, recruiters are complaining they can't find diverse global talent. What's going on here? I call this strangers in the night, why global talent and recruiters keep missing each other. Today, I'm going to talk exactly about that and how to bridge this gap, how to put this together. Whether you're a job seeker tired of being ghosted or a recruiter missing on an incredible global talent, by the end of this short life, you will have three concrete, actionable strategies you can use immediately. So let's start. Let's start with Mark. Let me tell you about him. He is a master's student who has just finished his degree, and he needs to validate basically the master's with an apprenticeship. And he just returned with some time off to see his family. Rightfully so. He had a lot of exams, he had a lot of things happening, and he just wanted to see his family and I kind of chill out. Then he came back and he realized he got a very little bit of time to find his internship in digital marketing, more specifically SEO analytics and sports media sector, which is something that really jived with him. So what he was doing, he was using his French resume online only. He was listening to friends and other students what to do without really knowing how recruitment works. He attended job events, talked to companies, but never really bothered to take any business cards and just connected with few recruiters and hiring managers on LinkedIn. 3 weeks pass and nothing. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that he did have one interview that went sour. Doubting came in. It settled in Mark's living room, and he started saying, "I don't. There is nothing out there." He was doubting his job, his sector. He was even thinking of going back to school. Can you imagine that? He was in fear. And I think fear is similar to false evidence appearing real. Thanks, Tony Robbins, for that one. So, what are in Mark's story? What were some three critical errors or limits? So, first, he's used his French resume only, even though he spent a year in the US and speaks English well. The second point is he relied entirely on online applications, just clicking apply on LinkedIn. That's it, no more, no less. And the third point is after 3 weeks of silence, radio, except for one disappointing interview, he started doubting everything, his career choice, his chances, even if the sector was right for him. So the reality check came in when Mark was spending all his time online, optimizing resumes for each application. Does this sound familiar? Here's what Mark didn't understand or didn't know because he was asking everybody except those who are involved and what most international professionals miss. Let's talk about three key strategies that can be used. So the first strategy is very simple, almost too simple, but often comes underneath our noses when we're in panic mode, is optimize your LinkedIn profile bilingually and build strategic relationships. Now, the first is LinkedIn optimization. Let's talk about your LinkedIn profile. If you're bilingual or multilingual, you need to showcase this strategically, not just saying, I speak French as a native, I'm fluent in English, I'm fluent in Spanish. but show it in your skills section and call it a day. Another thing that you can do is also create a bilingual profile. You've got two profiles, and that will increase your visibility. That's the LinkedIn optimization. The next point within this building strategic relationship is the networking foundation. Got a little bit of a problem with my pronunciation today. Whoops. Here's what Mark should have done months ago, not just, when he took a break, much needed break, and came back. But what he did was he realized, oh my gosh, I don't have time, and he started to panic. But before even going in that break, identify who he really knew working at his target companies. Your network is your network, and it's bigger than you think. We're looking at classmates, previous co-workers, professors, family, friends, people from your hometown working abroad. And then there is the tomato principle. You're going to laugh and say, Tanya, what the heck is she talking about? The tomato principle. Yeah, I love food, but there is a tomato principle here to be learned. Building genuine relationship is like growing tomatoes. You can't grow a tomato overnight and plant it in the night at night and in the morning find a tomato. Mark tried to work in panic mode, and real networking requires nurturing relationships over time. The same thing, it's like imagine if someone walks down the street and says, "Hey, you're nice, let's go out." Whoa, that's a little too much. You need to have that tomato principle in process, which means you nurture relationship as you go and not just call them in out of the blue and ask for that job. What's an actionable tip here? It basically says start now. Make a list of 5 companies only that you would really want to work at, where your values align, the culture aligns, the trends align. Then research who, who in your current network might be a connection there, and really start with the low-hanging apples, the people that know you and you know them, and there's trust. And also, LinkedIn's People You May Know section and alumni tools are an absolute gold mine. Go there and check out who you are connected with. That's the first strategy. The second strategy is the cover letter formula. First of all, let's look at the reconnection strategy. What does that mean? Once a job is posted, and only then you reconnect with your contact. Here's the key question to ask. I saw this position at your company, and I remember a conversation about how people, I'm giving an example, how people or companies in general forget to measure their content. Could you please give me insight into what they're really looking for in this role? That question is going to help you to reconnect with a friend and also see how that job aligns, and they will also remember you. Then there's the 5 point that I like to call me 5 things formula. Okay, it's your cover letter. It's not a summary of your resume. It's a sales letter that is selling your services and your motivation and how the company who has a problem can align. Here's the structure. Now, before I even give you the structure, most of you are going to frown and say, oh gosh, cover letter, who reads them? Well, studies show, especially on LinkedIn, that over 80% of hiring managers do read them, take the time, and when your resume is weak, that cover letter is going to make it or break it. So listen up here. 5 points in your cover letter is who are you professionally and culturally? Then the second point is the 5 specific values you bring in to solve their problems. Okay, what is the problem they have and how you can solve them? Name 5 of them. The next point is what project or vision are you bringing into this role? Is it more strategic? Is it operational? Talk about it. How this company fits in your career story right now? Is it more to learn more because you've had a theory or theories and learning tools, and or you were practicing it in your master's, and now you're ready to go and work? And want it more operational, talk about that. And always, always mention your content connection in that first sentence. Get them at hello. What's the key takeaway here? That first sentence right at the beginning will mention your contact. That is your golden key. Instead of saying, Dear hiring manager, I'm applying because this job was here, blah, 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 blah. No, you're going to try something like this. Sarah Johnson suggested I reach out to you regarding the marketing analysis position, as my experience bridging French and US American consumer markets align perfectly with your European expansion goals. Boom, you're done. You see the difference? That's what you want to aim for right at the beginning and right at hello at the cover letter. And the third tip, this tip is for my dear recruiters out there, mastering cross-cultural hiring. Now, for most of us recruiters, recruitment is already a very hard job. It's a sales job. You're going out there, you're interviewing, you're making sure you're getting the people and you're staying in timing and in the budget. But first of all, speak the language and the culture, just like you require your candidates to show and demonstrate the usage of language. That's your role as well. So, recruiters, here is your first tip. When interviewing multilingual candidates, ask this question in their native language. Tell me about a time your language skills helped you navigate a really tough situation. You'll be amazed at the depth and the connection of that response that you get versus just asking that same question in simple English. That's where you really get to know it. Now, another tip is don't play hard to get. If you're uncomfortable asking these questions in a native language, even if ChatGPT popped it out for you, and you just like, no, this is not for me. I don't even master the language. The culture is far away, or maybe you do a little bit. Ask someone else, ask a colleague, ask a teammate who's in the recruitment team or in HR, anybody into the process. Make sure you train them a little bit and let them know what the job is about. And don't let your discomfort cost you great talent. I've seen too many qualified candidates eliminated because the interview couldn't evaluate their cross-cultural competencies, and it shows. You're here to really have that conversation. And as you require the candidate to perform in their skills, you've got to do about the same. All right. And the last point for the recruiter is set clear expectations. Here's a simple tip. A lot of recruiters I have say, "Oh, I don't feel comfortable about this." But when you're uncomfortable, it means it's you're getting out of your comfort zone, and being bilingual, trilingual, and going global, that can push you and say, "Why not?" Share your recruitment process upfront. You got nothing to hide. And you want to show that you're a great recruiter and that you want reoccurring candidates to trust you in the process. So give candidates sample questions in advance, maybe even answers and how they can answer it. So that way they stop with the rumors. When I coach international professionals, bilinguals, third cultural individuals, they know nothing about the process and rely completely on rumors. Can you imagine that? That's basically starting on a very wrong, not just a wrong foot, but it can get very tricky, very uncomfortable. Be transparent about timelines, interview formats, and what you're looking for, and as well as the rest of the recruitment team. So, what was Mark? No, so those are basically the tips. Now, you're probably all wondering what happened to Mark. Let me tell you what happened. He applied these strategies instead of mass application with the French resume. He identified three sport media companies where he had second degree connections. He actually had someone there. He was surprised. He was no longer in panic mode. He was thinking more strategically. And he spent 2 weeks building and warming up those relationships and asking about industry trends and sharing insights about French sport markets and what he knows. What was the results? When the right aligned internship opened up, Mark already had internal advocates, people who were rooting for him, who were also connections and had trust in him. His cover letter started with following my conversation with my friend JP or Anne about TikTok's impact on sports engagement. He positioned himself as the bilingual background solution provider to their European expansion challenges. Okay, what happened? Well, Mark didn't just get the internship, he got two offers. He was able to choose. The company saw him as someone who could help them break into the French-speaking markets, not just as another intern or apprentice, but someone who has cultural agility the language and the know-how. So, as a conclusion, what are some takeaways for bilingual and third culture individuals? Is the first one is optimize your LinkedIn bilingually and network early. Highlight with a bilingual profile on LinkedIn and build real, authentic relationship before you need them. Then use the 5 me things on the cover letter. Lead with your value, your vision, and your contact connection in the first sentence. Get them at hello. And the third and final point for the job seeker is reframe rejection. Silence isn't failure, it's a signal to change strategy, not direction. And for my dear recruiters who are recruiting across languages and cultures, ask culture smart questions. Go beyond the surface skills. Dig into real world language and culture usage. 2, get help if necessary. Don't let discomfort assessing global talent cost you great hires. They know it, they see it. And finally, be transparent. Provide clear expectations, the guidelines and the questions up front, even with examples, so that way the fear dissipates and there's better candidate performance. In conclusion, remember your international background isn't a hurdle to overcome. It's your competitive advantage. Companies need global perspectives now more than ever. Just position and align it correctly. Thank you for joining me for today's live. If this was valuable to you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. If you need more information, especially for job seekers, I have a freebie right below that I'm going to include after the live for you to download, to go further. If you have any questions, reach out with a DM. I'll be more than happy. And I'll see you next week for a live on bilingual interviews. Until then, start building those relationships. Remember, tomatoes don't grow overnight. Have a great day.